Today, on another episode of No One Dies from Divorce, are two divorce experts with over 33 years of practice combined who recognize the lack in innovation and help for those that are going through divorce but need guidance and help without the need to spend money on a lawyer. Get ready because this is an episode about seeing more than divorce and opening the access to justice to all. Hello. My name is Jill Coyle, and welcome to another episode of No One Dies from Divorce, where we talk the nitty-gritty aspects of divorce and help each other come through this not only surviving, but thriving. I'm a divorce attorney, and I'm interviewing other experts and people just like you who are going through or have been through a divorce, so you can have the latest and greatest information on all things before, during, and after divorce. Let's dive in. Welcome to another podcast of No One Dies from Divorce. I'm very excited for our guest today, Erin Levine. I've known actually about her for a while. I am just absolutely impressed and grateful that we have been able to connect and become friends because she is a legal innovator and she's an entrepreneur. I feel like our lives pattern a little bit. I would say I'm about 3 years behind you, Erin. So
I wouldn't say that. I think we're tackling different challenges at different times.
Yes.
But I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, thank you. I'm just excited. So let me introduce you to our guest today. So Erin, she's a certified family law specialist, but she's also the CEO and founder of Hello Divorce, which is an award-winning online platform that helps self-represented folks navigate the divorce process on their own through a revolutionary web platform, assessing legal help when they need additional help along the way. As a young adult, she brought criminal and civil charges against a former gymnastic coach and experienced the legal system as a chaotic, confusing, and amplifying her trauma rather than bringing justice. She later became a divorce litigator. Despite her success as a law firm owner, she realized there must be a better way and pivoted into justice technology. Erin works relentlessly to simplify family law, reduce trauma for those seeking relief from the court, and help people get back on their feet. No one dies from divorce. Her design-centered and sustainable approach to the delivery of legal services has been recognized by the legal industry and beyond, with recent accomplishments that include the American Bar Association's James I. Keene Memorial Award for Excellence in E-Lawyering and the Duke University School of Law's Legal Tech Accelerator Grand Prize. Erin's current projects include raising her two daughters, Zoe and Mia, along with managing the national rollout of Hello Divorce's products and service. So welcome to the show, Erin.
Thanks, Jill. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. You're just a force, and you are doing so much good in this world. So it's wonderful to join you.
Thank you so much. So today's podcast is obviously we're calling it Seeing More Than Divorce and Opening the Access to Justice to All. I loved this topic with you, Erin, because that's exactly what me and you, we've talked a little bit about this. So I'm going to kind of share for our audience. We felt like we were just a little bit stuck. We were both, had these very, very successful law firms. They were doing very, very well. And we were helping the one-on-one on the day-to-day basis. But we felt like there was so many people out there that did not have access to justice, to quality divorce documents, to quality representation without spending thousands and thousands of dollars and coming to hire us at our firm.
Yes, that's right.
And because of that, we both kind of sat back, I think, in our lives and sought to do something more. We wanted to bring more access to justice to all. And Erin, I want you to kind of tell our audience a little bit more about Hello Divorce and really what kind of brought you into that and what was the purpose behind it.
Sure, absolutely. And Yes, that's exactly right. And you're right. We have spoken about this before, and we're both so passionate about it. I think we could go on for hours,
Yes.
but probably not what your audience needs or wants. But the bottom line is that 80% of divorces in the United States have at least one self-represented party, and they are navigating the dissolution of one of the most complex contracts we will ever enter into, the marital contract. And so to do that alone or largely alone is not only very frightening, but it's also not the best way to help people move on to their next happy, healthy chapter. So the other piece is that with divorce, we spend a lot of time focused on the legal process because the legal process is huge and complex. And it doesn't matter what state or what county you live in, it is daunting. And because we spend so much time on that legal process, it's hard to figure out what other priorities should be and where we should be spending our other time. Because as you know, divorce is not an event, it's a process. There's so many things that come up in and around divorce, everything from should or do I need a new health insurance plan? What about life insurance? Where should I invest my money? How do I fix my credit? All of these things. So my goal with Hello Divorce, first off, was to provide a one-stop shop, a platform that everyone can go to find out information relating to not just the legal process but everything else. And that's definitely a work in progress, something that we're working on and weaving more into our platform as time goes on. But I really want everyone to know that there is one place that they can go to really educate themselves.
Yes.
Because as you know, when we don't know what's going on, it brings up a lot of feelings, especially fear. And when we're scared, we often do really irrational things, like lawyer up with the most aggressive lawyer in town. And that is exactly what I don't want to happen.
Right.
So Hello Divorce is a platform that helps people navigate the legal process, start to finish, with self-guided technology, as well as access to services should you need or want some additional help along the way.
Amazing. So I actually don't know this story. What was the thinking, or how did you come to the name Hello Divorce?
Well, I think, I had decided that I wanted to try a new model, right? As we discussed, like I had a law firm that was thriving, that was really successful, but I wasn't able to help people on a more massive scale. Right. I also wasn't able to help people get to the decision of whether or not to divorce quicker or help people navigate much more efficiently. And so the question became, do we put the word divorce in the name of the company? Because as you know, something that you're trying to do as well is change the conversation around divorce, how we view it, how we approach it. But it became really clear to me when looking at it from a business perspective, looking at how we would market it, how SEO would work, how people would be able to find us, that having the word divorce would be very important. The other thing that became really important about the word divorce is that if we're going to change the conversation around it, then we need to own that. Yes. We don't need to sort of tiptoe around it and pretend like it's not happening, because it sucks. It's grueling. Nobody gets married thinking or wanting a divorce, but it also can be exactly what you need to get you started on an even better path in life and finding the true you. So I made the decision to keep divorce. I've always loved the word hello. I wanted to celebrate it, but I also didn't want people to think I was making light of it. Right. And Hello Divorce, the name was born. And people, for better or worse, have a pretty serious visceral reaction to it. Most people love it. There are people that don't, and that's okay. But it's recognizable at this point.
Yes, absolutely. And her firm is very recognizable with your different awards and what you're doing. It's interesting because I had the exact same thought. Because I don't know if this was your experience in your law firm, but what we were doing a lot of was not necessarily the original divorce decrees. We were fixing a lot of bad decrees, homemade decrees, these decrees that they would do on these, very, very cheap, simple, fill in the blank or, court, approved legislation funded, which means they didn't have very much funding websites, and we were having to go back in because the decrees were so contradictory. They were allowed you to just kind of write whatever you wanted, and just like Erin said, you're going through one of the most difficult parts, and when you don't have a lawyer there to kind of guide you through it, you tend to go right to the basics of what you think you need or what you're trying to, I guess, salvage in the moment, not thinking about 2 days ahead or a year ahead, and what causes these just really bad decrees. And so I created Simple Ending, which we've talked about, simpleending.com, which is going to step up the technology to be able to create very, very good attorney quality decrees. And ours is all DIY. The difference between Erin and I's platform is Erin has created this amazing, basically online platform that's going to give you the best ability to not have to navigate this on your own. I love it. Simple Ending is going to be, hey, we're going to offer you quality attorney documents. That if you need help, you're going to go and seek outside resources to be able to come back. But at the end of the day, you can be guaranteed that Simple Ending is going to give you an attorney quality decree. And that's where I feel like me and Erin, like we see it in a bigger picture because we've been in the trenches. We've been doing this for so long now, thousands of divorces, and we recognize that there was not only a need for people that didn't want to hire the expensive law firm to get information, to mediate through issues, but there's also this need for getting quality divorce documents without having to pay $3,000 for an attorney to draft it up.
Right. And then maybe if you want, but not required, you can always spend an hour or a half hour with the lawyer just going over one or two of the terms to make sure that it says exactly what you want it to say.
Absolutely.
You don't have to, but you have that option. And I think that's really like what we're getting to the heart of, is that law is one of the last industries to really truly be disrupted by technology. And who better to do it than some of the most experienced lawyers who know their consumer better than anyone else and know exactly what our audience needs and wants. And so I think we share that goal of getting the most high quality documents that are filed with the court as possible, while still helping in a million other ways to reduce conflict.
Yes.
Right. And one of the ways to reduce conflict is to resolve stuff outside of court, which is exactly what we're trying to help people do.
Right. I absolutely, one of the top 10 mistakes that I talk about, and the number one thing is not talking to an attorney to at least understand your rights. Because just like you said, you're dissolving a marriage. Why that is literally going to affect yourself, your future, and your family. Why would you not want to know specifically the laws and the statutes that could then affect you in the future? So talk to an attorney. And what's very, very important is that the law is different in every state for sure. And sometimes county to county, depending on where you live. So so going to the internet is not necessarily your best resource, because the law or the blog that some attorney wrote in one city is not necessarily going to be the what you need to know for your special circumstances. So I'm always specifically saying, meet with an attorney wherever you live, so you can specifically, I guess, get your armor to know that even if you don't need a lawyer, even if you don't litigate, you are going to be protected. You're protecting yourself, your future, and your family.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing about some of the blogs that you'll find online is oftentimes they either A, hide the ball, meaning don't give you all the information that you need, even if it is directed at your location,
Yep.
Or B, motivate by fear. If you don't hire me, you are going to have a bad result. And that just isn't always or usually the case. So if you are heading to the internet, you want to make sure that you are searching from a reliable place, maybe identifying the issues so that you can help decide what you need legal advice for and what you might not. Because that sort of traditional retain a lawyer and have them represent you through the whole divorce is not what everyone needs anymore. There are options.
Yes, and we're disruptive in our family law. I mean, a lot of family lawyers don't like what me and Erin are doing, and it's specifically because they believe we are threatening their position or their job. And I just laugh because I'm like, your statistic at the very beginning of this podcast spelled it out. 80% of people are not going to be represented when they go into this process. And so because of that, they are they're not hiring those attorneys anyways. So but we recognize
Right.
the way that family law is going, where you hire an attorney and they file the pleadings for you, is not going to stand up in the future. We are, I mean, with 50% of all marriages ending in divorce, with a lot of them being younger, less than 7 years of marriage, where they have little to no assets, maybe 1 or 2 children, it's getting to the point where some people are capable of really amicably resolving their divorce without the need of an attorney. But what they can't do is they can't go and find quality documents to help them through that process. And me and Erin are saying, no, that's not fair. That's not the way that it needs to be. You deserve that. And that's what we're setting out to do.
Yeah. And I think, let's talk about quality for a minute and what we're doing differently as compared to some of these companies that either just like generate forms or provide blank ones to you, which you can usually access directly from your state's website. The bottom line is these forms are complicated, and a lot of times they are in legalese, and they make it really, really tricky to know which ones to file, how to answer the questions, how to answer them in a way that's going to get you where you need to go and be ultimately approved by the court. And so one of the things I love that we're both doing is really breaking down the issues in plain English and getting people to think about stuff that maybe the forms don't even bring up, but are really important when you're talking about transitioning from, like I like to say, from we to me.
Yes. And one of the things is a lot of times in a decree, again, the parties are talking and they think that they can then create this very, very unusual or unorthodox schedule for their children, or something that as lawyers we don't see all the time. So they put that in their decree, and then something changes. The other person gets married, they move away, the children get older, heaven forbid, because that's what they do. And it becomes an unworkable situation. But then the parties are at a point where they're not going to be amicable. They're not going to get along. And so they can't come to terms of what they're going to do to fix it. And so they're back in court with us to really fix this decree. And so one of the things that I've really strived with Simple Ending is that I will give you the best alternative solutions to put in your decree that I know work as an attorney. And you can always do as you guys mutually agree. But if you don't mutually agree, it's going to default. And I think what that does as well is that takes away a lot of this pressure when you're trying to create these decrees that, again, you don't know really what, you only have your circumstance to kind of deal with. It's really going to take away that uncertainty to know that you're going to have a decree that's going to uphold in court. Because that's one of the biggest things that we want, is that if your spouse isn't following the decree or is choosing not to, or being a disruptor, I call, you need a court document that the court will then go into court and say, you are violating this, and therefore I will create some kind of sanction. If you don't have that because the interpretation is poor, it's so broad, you are going to be left in court with no help. The court's not going to be able to help you enforce that.
I 110% agree. I think it's particularly important around money and kids. It's wonderful if you are flexible enough with your ex to be able to say something like, we're going to share equal parenting time. But ultimately, that's not going to benefit you down the road if a conflict does ensue or things do change or something like COVID comes up and you need to know what exactly to do in the case of a dispute. So I love the idea of having a much more specific document that you can both look to not only enforce, but just to help manage your expectations around what's required from each of you.
Yes. One of the things I think we also have challenges with the technology that we're bringing is that the United States, every state law is different. It's they're made up of codes or statutes that the legislation pass. Most of the time, the legislators have no idea what family law is and don't care. So they're listening to maybe the one person that's talking to them about it, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds good." And it's so different in every state that one of the problems that we have as these disruptors is that we have to start in one state and then we have to go to state to state to state because they are going to literally be different in every state. Talk a little bit, Erin, about the challenges of that and what you're really doing to make sure that this comes to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible.
That's right. I mean, I do agree with you that not only are the laws and the forms different in every single state, the problem is that people don't know how to divorce in a way that best serves them and their families. And so what we've done at Hello Divorce is really methodically taken it state by state. So we launched first in California. We have quite a presence there, as well as in Colorado. We have launched in Utah, and then more recently, actually just today, I don't know when this is airing, but just today we launched in Texas,
which is July 26th.
And
because this podcast will be
yeah, and then we will be launching in Florida and New York somewhat soon. What we're most excited about Florida is it will be a Spanish-English platform. So we really hope to serve a lot of people who don't have English as their first language, are Spanish speaking, really confused, frustrated, scared by the system, and be able to help them in a really, really meaningful way. So it's just been very important for us to take it a step at a time, and at each step, not only understand the forms and the laws, but also understand how local procedure works, get to know local consultants, legal assistants, lawyers, mediators, to make sure that we're offering not only the best DIY platform, but services as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You're killing it, girl. I love it. And you know, what Erin and I have talked about is that she really wanted to create a platform that worked, and so she took her time. She really established it in California. She, curl-tailed it. She really, I would say, babied it to make sure that she's not just throwing this out there saying, spend money on me. She really is going to make sure that there's a process that's worth it. And you see it in your client reviews and what you're doing, and you being able to go to other states, and the trust that your people have in what you're doing. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. I mean, the customer experience is absolutely our number one priority, customer results. And so we have done many iterations and are always building and growing, but are definitely proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far.
Yeah, so cool. And you're a mom, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur, you're a lawyer, you're a boss. You wear so many hats just like me. And I just wanted to know, like, how do you manage your day to day and all the endeavors that you're doing?
Well, I think it's really important to acknowledge that we're not going to have perfect balance every day. And for the longest time, that's what I tried to do. And it just completely set me up for failure. There are going to be some days where being a mom is being a mom is always my most important role, but where being a mom is going to be the most important priority for that day. We had a lot going on this past Friday with the company and with the launch in Texas. And yet my daughter had an end of camp circus performance. So couldn't miss that. Had
Right.
to drive all the way across town so I could see that. She would know I show up for her. I get to be there for her. So I think what I try to do is strive for what feels like a balance across all the roles I have, know, and love, but that there's going to be some days that I'm spending more time on one thing and some on the other. The other thing I do a lot of is time blocking to make sure that I am dedicating myself to the things that are not just fires or that need to get done right away, but are things I want to be proactive on, both personally and professionally.
That's amazing. One of the things I've been learning is that through this journey and talking to other people is that a lot of times as women, we believe self care is like, oh, I got my lashes done today or I got my nails done, and that's self care. But what I'm learning is that's not self care. That's just maintenance. That's just to make it so I feel good about people in front of the camera, which I'm in front of the camera a lot right now. But self care is really taking time for me and figuring out what I need to feel fulfilled. And I think me and Erin share a lot of similarities in the fact that we will run our cup as empty as possible for everybody else before we realize that we need to fill that cup. And so I've been really working on recently just, hey, what brings me joy and satisfaction and that I can be doing for myself that's above and beyond what I do for everybody else. And it's hard because I don't have time.
It's hard. It is. It's always a work in progress. I try to sort of run my life by the rule of threes. Like there's always three things in addition to like the everyday run of the mill rat race, like three things that I am trying to also accomplish personally or professionally. So that I feel like I'm making proactive decisions and really living life and not just letting it sort of take control over me. And I find that to be very, very helpful. But it's like when you have a brand new baby or even the first few years of having a child and you've never had to fight so hard just to get some sleep, but like you do it and you figure it out. And that's the same thing with self-care as like we move forward. And there are times when your gut or your instinct is telling you, you need to slow down, you need to do something for yourself. And we just need to trust that, especially as women, because our gut never lies. Like if we can get in touch with that, then it's our superpower. It really is.
Yeah. And I think that that's good advice for any of us, especially if you're going through divorce, if you're thinking about divorce or you've been through divorce, is that so many times we just feel like we're surviving. Our head's just over the water and we're just fluttering and we're just thinking, what do I need to do to keep breathing? But that's what's so important is, first of all, recognizing that it's going to be okay and that you have to turn in. And sometimes going through a divorce, if you have to be selfish, that's okay. And you need to not feel guilt about that. Like you need to take care of yourself right now. And that's why I talk about no one dies from divorce, because I talk about it being a movement instead of just like you said, like changing the connotation of divorce. It should not be this shameful thing anymore. It should be this opportunity to pivot and really redefine and reignite what you are and what you should be to make you a better friend, a better human, a better person in general. And if we were to really take, all of these people getting divorced and we really made it more of a movement now of, hey, I'm this better person because of the experience. Wow, we're going to have a pretty powerful, change. We're going to have some people that are really going to be standing up, making a difference in other people's lives because of it.
Oh gosh. Yeah. It's like we're sharing a brain right now. I absolutely agree with you.
So with all of that, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself as like running a nationally recognized, best in class Hello divorce platform that we have not just expanded into several other states, but we've woven in a lot of other things from the divorce ecosystem. So meaning that we are helping people to not just get the legal process completed, but to help them with financial literacy, managing their finances, dividing their finances, finding the right insurance plan, getting that co-parenting help or therapy if they need it, and all the resources that you need or want going through the process are available directly through our platform. So that is incredibly important to me, to be able to do. I see myself in the next 5 years actually moving out of the city and into, as we transition more, both with remote, we've been doing obviously remote now for a while with our employees, but it's a big deal, the transition to primarily remote from doing remote because you have to do it because there's a global pandemic.
Right.
And so learning and from those who are much smarter than me, how to best create a community and team that's largely remote so that my family and I have the flexibility to live where we want to live, spend less time in the city, more time traveling, and, living the pace of life that we now want to live. So, yeah.
I love that. I know. Right now it's hard for me to think, what do I want in 5 years? But I do have that exact same goal of a good work-life balance, of bringing access to justice for all and using my technology to get there. We created the underlying technology where I'm really proud of that platform. And I hope one day that we can offer really quality court documents in all areas of law, not just divorce. Divorce for me was
so necessary.
It's so necessary. And it's just, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I'm 39. I've been practicing as an attorney for 14 years now, which, by the way, I was taking the Texas bar 14 years ago today, which is, again, July 26th. So that, anyways, and it's crazy how I've been doing family law for that long, and there has really not been anybody that has thought, hey, I should be doing this. We, as attorneys, we have a lot of setbacks. I mean, if you didn't know this, attorneys can't partner with non-lawyers in most states. Some states, they've allowed it. So even getting, if you start a law firm and you want backing of a non-lawyer, there's different things and hoops you have to go through. They've made it really challenging, and it's really caused law to really stay in this archaic position. And I'm just like you, Erin. I'm a dreamer and I'm an innovator. And I'm like, man, if there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. That's the way I worked. And I've been doing divorces for so long. I was like, there's got to be a better way. And I was set out to figure that out, just as you have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize outside of this industry how rigid most regulations are and how much they stifle innovation. You really have to think outside the box and be willing to take a risk to try something new, because the regulations are set up to be protectionist, to protect lawyers' careers and ability to earn, as opposed to being 100% focused on what is best for the consumer.
Yes.
And so it's challenging. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the exciting part is we're seeing, some real glimmers of hope, some real action, some real change. But I mean, it will take years, if not decades, to get where we need to go. In the meantime, in the vast majority of states, a non-lawyer cannot own an interest in a law firm. Lawyers who own law firms cannot take on venture capital to be able to further build, grow, or scale their own firms. We are always having to be very careful and watch out for what's called unauthorized practice of law regulations. It's tricky, but it's something that, you and I were born to tackle. And there is no question about it that consumers are pushing for change. They've been pushing and rebelling against that billable hour for a long time. And while that billable hour might be the best or most efficient way to bill for very, very complex cases, the vast majority of people, it's just not a good fit.
Right. Absolutely. And what's interesting is, I'm licensed in Texas and Utah. And so I pay fees every year that go to the bar specifically to bring access of justice to other people. I volunteer with the bar. I do the pro bono clinic. But even with every year I'm like, why are we not helping more? Why is this such a problem? And, maybe in the future, me and you should do a podcast literally just on the stifling of innovation within the law and how it's only hurting the consumer. It's only hurting the people that need us the most. And I say in divorce, you really do need that advocate in whatever way it looks like, because you are going through one of the hardest trials of your life and you're emotional and you're going through this grief cycle, and you shouldn't be making these decisions that are going to literally affect your kids and your future and your financial literacy and everything. You really need help. And so what me and Erin are doing is really saying, okay, here's the problem and I'm going to tackle it because you deserve it. Everybody out there deserves to be heard, deserves to feel like they have an advocate. And the way that Simple Ending's doing it is, we are a tech firm. We are not a law firm. So we will be coming to you with the highest quality technology that's been designed and by a divorce attorney, but we will not be your lawyers. And so by that, we will give you amazing resources to go and find people like Erin or lawyers that in your state and your community that can really give you the information that you need. And then you come back and you're going to get the best technology to draft up those documents for a fraction of a price of that billable hour that an attorney is going to do that. So we're both tackling this in such a needed and I would say a little bit of a different way, but to bring as much access to justice as possible for the people that really, really need it.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the two of us end up working together soon, one of these days. I'm super excited about your software and excited about, the fact that our missions align in so many ways. So
I agree.
We might be doing another podcast down the road announcing a collaboration.
I agree. The funny thing is a lot of people would listen to me and Erin think, are we competition? And I laugh and I was like, she's not my competition. She's my motivation. Like, I'm an empowered woman that will empower other women, and her innovation and what she's been doing for this is why I've known about her for years. Since you won the Duke Award. How long ago was that? 5-6 years ago now.
18.
Yeah. And just what she was doing. And I just recognized that she's just you're just an awesome woman, Erin. I just love what you're doing. And that's why I wanted to kind of end, like, what is your message of hope to those going through divorce?
I have surprisingly or not, a very similar message as you oftentimes say to your listeners. And that is that whatever you're feeling right now, whatever you're going through, even if in the moment all you can do is survive instead of, and until you're able to be more proactive, it is not permanent. It is just a moment. You are not your divorce. Divorce is just where you are at in this moment. And so remember that, and you will get through it. And come out on that other side and feel that much better. I have never had anyone come to me years after their divorce, and I've been doing this for almost 17 years, and say, I wish I was still married to that person. Like, every single one of the people that work with us with the goal of divorcing in a way that catapults them onto that next better chapter is so much happier, so much more in tune with who and what they are, and have really gone on to find the best version of themselves.
And the best part is that you have to do the work. If you just stay in the mentality that it was always the other person, it was always them, and you go down your list of excuses, you are not going to grow, and you're not going to be able to use this opportunity as an ability to become this better version of yourself. So Byron Katie says it the best, like, you have to put in the work. It requires you to understand, look within, see what you can be doing to really strive to not only survive your divorce, thrive through it by, putting in the work, finding out what you can do to just like, you said, like that moment on your timeline, make it shine and make it count. If you're going to go through this hard trial, make it count. And I love when I see these people that have gone through these really, really hard, tragic times, such as like losing a kid to cancer, or, they fought cancer themselves. A lot of them say, I'm going to take my opportunity now to motivate others, to motivate, to create a charity, to raise money so people have, more than I have through my experience. And I think, why are we not doing that with divorce? Why are we not using this as that moment on your timeline to shine and do it? And when you get through it and you get down the road, just like Erin said, you're going to look back and you're going to say, not only did I survive that, I thrived through it. And now my relationships now with my coworkers, with my kids, with my parents, with my friends are so much better because I put in the work to figure out what I needed to do to thrive through that experience.
Love it.
Erin, you've just been a joy. Thank you so much. I just want you to know, everybody, if you haven't looked up Hello Divorce, go and look up what she's doing. It gives all the information for everything, where they're going, gives you little teasers, and then it also points you into all the directions. But also, Erin, is there other places that would be really great for our listeners to find you and get some motivation or information about you and what you're doing?
Sure. So you can find me. My name is Erin Levine, and you can find me across all social media platforms at Hello Divorce. Also, check out the resources on our website, hellodivorce.com. A lot of them are relevant no matter what state you're in. We've got worksheets and checklists and all sorts of other good stuff to help you get and stay organized through the divorce process.
Amazing. Her Instagram, I know, is one of the most positive and uplifting places. They do just a lot of quotes to help you stay focused, and to just keep breathing. So I love it. I'm a big fan of you. Can't wait to see what you're going to do. Keep kicking ass, girl.
Thanks.
That's another episode of No One Dies from Divorce. Absolutely loved it. Again, you know where to find me. Go and find me on jillcoyle.com. As you know, I do multiple things, and it's all there. You'll be able to find everything we're doing, right down to my foundation, to my book, to my podcast, to Moxie Law, where we're taking the next level of personal injury and really elevating it, female-led. I'm really, really proud of that one. And we're just excited that you joined us. Again, if you like it, go and subscribe to our channel. Ring that little bell so it reminds you our podcast drop every Monday, and giving you more information that you can possibly need, want, and just remember, you're not just going to survive this, you're going to thrive through it. Thanks. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, follow, and share. I'd love to hear your questions and feedback. You can contact me at community@jillcoyle.com. See you next time. I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. Any advice given on the podcast is general and shall not be construed as legal advice.